When we think of powerful AI, we usually think of the cloud, right? Massive data centers, tons of processing power. But what if the next big leap in AI lives right here, in your pocket? Well, that's what we're digging into today. We're talking about LFM 2.5, a small, incredibly fast model that's designed to completely change how we interact with our devices. Let's get into it. All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the big challenge, why the most powerful AI is kind of stuck in the cloud. Then we'll meet our new contender, LFM 2.5, and peek under the hood at its really clever hybrid design. After that, we'll put it through its paces with two very different tests, one where it fails and one where it absolutely shines. And that's going to reveal its true identity, a super capable on-device agent. So, the most powerful AI models we use today live in the cloud for a really good reason. They're built on architectures that are just incredibly hungry for resources. Think about it. For every thought, every token, they have to compare everything with everything else. And all that computation makes them slow and takes up a ton of memory, tying them to these gigantic data centers. And that dependency on the cloud, it creates a real bottleneck. I mean, for AI to feel truly seamless in our daily lives, it needs to be instant, responsive, and private. It needs to run right where we are. So the big question becomes, can we build something that's powerful enough to handle complex tasks, but also lean enough to run on your phone or laptop? Can your phone actually outsmart the cloud? And that, right there, brings us to LFM 2.5. This model was basically designed from the ground up to be the answer to that very question. It's a brand new contender built specifically for what we call edge deployment, which is just a fancy way of saying it's made to live and work right on your personal devices. Now, take a look at these numbers because this is where it gets really interesting. At just 1.2 billion parameters, it is tiny compared to the industry giants. It's designed to run on practically anything: laptops, phones, even tiny embedded systems, all while using less than a single gigabyte of memory. And the speed? It can hit almost 240 tokens a second on a regular old CPU. This isn't just a small step forward, it's a completely different kind of model. So you're probably wondering, how on earth does it do that? Well, the secret sauce is really in its architecture. See, LFM 2.5 isn't a pure transformer model like most of the big names you know. It's a hybrid, and that unique engine is the absolute key to its amazing power and efficiency. Okay, so here's the crucial difference. A traditional model uses what are called attention layers for everything. It's powerful, for sure, but it's slow. LFM 2.5 does something much smarter. It splits the work. It uses two completely different types of layers, giving you a system that's optimized for both raw speed and deep understanding. Let's see how that works. So the first 10 layers at the bottom are called convolutional blocks. Now, if you're into image processing, you might recognize that idea. You can basically think of it like a sliding window that just zips across the text, only looking at words that are close to each other. This handles all the initial grunt work incredibly fast because it's not trying to understand the whole paragraph at once. Then, for the top 6 layers, it switches gears to the heavy-duty attention blocks. This is where the deep thinking happens. I like to picture it as a boardroom meeting. All the quick findings from that sliding window get brought to the table, and the model weighs the full context to really grasp the complex, long-range meaning. And that's the whole concept in a nutshell, right there. It's a brilliant 2-tier system. You've got the super fast convolutional layers handling the speed on the bottom, and then you've got the deep thinking attention layers providing the context on top. It's really the best of both worlds. Okay, so knowing how it works is one thing, but to really get what this model's all about, we have to see it in action. And we're going to do that with a tale of two very different tests, starting with one that's actually designed to show us its weaknesses. So test number 1 is a creative language task. The prompt seems simple enough, right? Write 10 sentences ending with the word happy. This is a pretty classic test of linguistic flexibility, creativity. And the results, well, they're not so great. The model nails the first sentence, but then it just completely struggles with the rest. It fails to follow that one core instruction. And that tells us something really important. Nuanced, creative language, that's just not its strong suit. This failure actually reveals a critical distinction. LFM 2.5 is clearly not trying to be a creative writer or a general-purpose chatbot, which begs the question, if it's not built for that, then what is this super efficient hybrid model actually built for? Its real strength has to lie somewhere else. And that strength is something called function calling. Basically, it's the ability to act as a translator between our human language and software. It can take a request like, hey, check my order status, figure out the exact software tool it needs to use, and then generate the perfect command to actually get the job done. It's a bridge. Okay, so for our second test, we gave it something much harder, a real logic-based problem, a complex customer complaint that's going to require multiple steps to solve. The model needs to understand the whole situation, pick out different bits of information, and then figure out the right sequence of actions to take. And here, it performs perfectly. It doesn't just understand the request, it breaks it down into this beautiful, logical four-step plan. It correctly identifies which tools to use and, just as importantly, in what order. Search, calculate, notify, and then update. This is where you see its true intelligence shine through. This incredible performance leads us to a really clear conclusion about what LFM 2.5 truly is. It's not just another language model in the crowd. It's something far more specialized and, honestly, in many ways, a lot more useful for real-world applications. So the verdict is in. LFM 2.5 isn't built to be a poet or a conversationalist. It's a specialized agent. It's a doer. It's designed to understand what you want and translate that intent into concrete actions right on your device. And hey, the numbers back this up completely. When you look at benchmarks like IF of L, which tests how well a model follows instructions, or BFCL v3, which measures its skill with software tools, LLFM 2.5 consistently comes out on top. It's actually beating bigger models at the very things that make a great on-device agent. So where would you actually use this? Well, its best use cases are crystal clear. It excels at executing those complex, multi-step plans. It's fantastic at pulling specific bits of data out of text, and it's great at working with external documents to get smarter for a specific task. It's a workhorse, not a show horse. And I think this is the real takeaway here. The future of AI isn't just some race to build bigger and bigger models that live far away in the cloud. It's also about creating these smart, efficient, and specialized tools like LFM 2.5, agents that can live right on our devices and help us get things done right where we are.